finally, that this immigration policy the government has to reduce migration to tens of thousands simply cannot be achieved because our open border with the European Union shows that people coming in here can't be stopped, you can't have a number check. So the result is we cannot achieve our manifesto commitment unless we vote to leave the European Union, and that is what I recommend to everybody. If you want border control, migration control, overall you have to vote to leave the European Union.
Basically you're saying it's all been a massive deceit. The government you were part of saying you could get net migration below 100,000.
The government wants to get it down, net migration down to tens of thousands, and that I know we've had endless discussions about that when I was in government, and that was their plan. The Home Secretary wants to do that, but she says we can't have freedom of movement if you're going to do that. I agree with her, but the only way you can't have freedom of movement, i.e. you get border control, is by leaving the European Union. And the point about the migration isn't just the numbers, by the way. You know, migration from the EU has mostly, as the Bank of England said, been low-paid, low-skilled work. And that has competed directly with British people and has actually resulted in salaries and wages falling about 10% since about 2004. And that is really damaging to them because they have cost of livings that are rising. And the result of all of that for us, not just numbers, it's also the effect that they have. And looking ahead, bad as it may be now, if we don't vote to leave, what happens is the euro area's crisis problems will also be driving people, as our minimum wage rises to £9, it'll be driving people from developed countries where there's no work, you know, Spain, Italy, France, to the UK as well. So this problem is just going to get an awful lot worse. They have to have border control with the European Union. That large-scale migration, which is about the city of Oxford, as we saw today, coming through every year, that is a very damaging set of figures, and they damage incomes for the lower paid, and they also disrupt services, housing, schools, education. So this is a problem that has to be resolved, and you can only resolve it if you vote to leave the European Union. The Treasury Report came out this week. It was a deception. Why was it deception? Because the report, we know, will always have a central economic case, and then there will be the downside risk. But there is also an upside position to this. They didn't publish any of that. All the government chose to publish was as bad a set of figures as they could possibly engineer, using every device possible and all the assumptions made. And my point about this is, you know, if you put rubbish in, you get rubbish out. My view here is categorically, you either believe in the British people, you either believe in our capability, you either believe in the idea that we are one of the most entrepreneurial, driven countries in the world, that trades globally, that has the freest market around. If you believe in all of that, you know we will meet every challenge because the British government will govern for the British people, not for 28 people, others than ourselves, or for the bureaucracy in Brussels, unelected bureaucrats, huge swathes of regulations and laws. Freedom at last. And on the 24th of June, we will have Independence Day for Britain, thank God. Migration, border control, you have to vote to leave the European Union. If you want Britain to thrive and prosper, you have to vote to leave the European Union. If you are a small business and you want your costs down because of the bureaucracy, you've got to vote to leave the European Union. If you believe passionately in democracy and accountable government, you have to vote to leave the European Union. The overwhelming argument is, believe in Britain and you vote to leave the European Union, and you will not face problems, but you will face the chance that the British economy and the British nation will thrive as never before. And those, by the way, are the words of the Prime Minister, who said the UK would thrive and prosper if we left the European Union. And I say amen to that.